There was an incident with one of our students in the BELIEVE program, students with emotional disabilities. She picked up an object and was kind of running through the campus. And staff did ask for support, but I have great relationships with all my students. And before we do any de-escalation techniques, I want to talk to that student first.
Yeah.
Able to talk to that student, sit on the floor with her, address her needs. She definitely de-escalated with me. I was able to give her a glass of water, some snacks, meet her basic need, get her back into class. But that is what I'm talking about, because if there was no relationship established there, she could have placed, in a hold by my staff, or someone like herself or some of my staff could have got injured.
Right.
So that's why it's so important to provide these students love and a place of caring, that they know they can feel trusted, that they know they're going to feel heard, and it helps de-escalate the whole situation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Enrique Lopez. Enrique is the Director of Special Education, as well as a principal at San Joaquin County Office of Education, and you're a principal at Redwood, correct?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. That is correct.
And that is in San Joaquin County, California.
Yep.
So, Enrique, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your role, maybe a little bit about your journey, and a little bit about San Joaquin.
Absolutely. So, as you mentioned, I am the principal at Redwood School. We are a special education center site. So we serve students with the most impactful needs throughout San Joaquin County that the districts are unable to support. With that being said, I'm very proud of our campus. We do a lot of we provide a lot of love, to be very honest with you. We provide a lot of love. I always speak to all my staff that love comes first before policy, love comes first before instruction with students, because first and foremost, we need to make sure our students are safe. We need to give them a voice. We need to give them a safe environment and able to just come back and want to learn.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
That's what we do as educators. First and foremost, we love those kids, don't we? Absolutely.
And on my campus, we have half of my campus, we support students with emotional disabilities. So a lot of those students are in and out of foster care, are being raised by their grandparents or by a loved one. And so that's really the reason behind the love, because unfortunately, some of these students and kiddos don't receive the love that they deserve at home, right? And so I want to fill in those gaps and ensure that when they're on my campus for those 6-hour plus days, that they're not only getting excellent instruction, but they're being loved on by staff. And some of those love could look like a high five. It could look like, hey, Johnny, you're doing an excellent job today. But it could also look like a hug. And it can also look like, hey, I know you had a really rough day last night. Let's sit and talk about it. We can cry together. We can develop a plan moving forward.
Right. That's fantastic. That is so great. So tell me about you. Tell me about how you got to be in the position that you're in.
Absolutely. So I started as a substitute instructional assistant with San Joaquin County Office of Education in 2005. I was on the pathway to working in law enforcement. That was my passion. But I'll be honest, working as an IA with SJCOE, I fell in love with the students. It brought out so much joy building relationships with kids that are impacted, and it really filled my boat. And I realized I was not only helping the students, but I was also helping the family. And then by doing that, I'm helping the community, right? Because we want all of our students to be successful after they age out of program, what that looks like, right? But we want them as independent as possible with all the right tools.
Right.
So I got into subbing, but still was on the pathway to law enforcement. Eventually became a teacher with SJCOE, but I still had a passion for law enforcement. So I gave probation a try. I became a probation officer with Stanislaus County. And I did try it and I loved it, but I was placed in drug court, unfortunately, with adults. And my passion was really working with kids. So I knew in my heart that there was something missing. So I went back to SJCOE, went back into the teaching profession, and now I have been an administrator for 8+ years. And this is my passion. This is my home. This is where my heart lies. It's with these students.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you love what you do, you don't work another day in your
Absolutely.
life, right? You just it's so easy to come to work when you love what you're doing, and that's so
Absolutely.
true. So,
Absolutely. I think the hard part though sometimes could be because I'm so passionate about the students and wanting what's best for them is to seeing sometimes the misfortune that happens to them,
mm,
whether
mhm,
they are removed from my program to go placed in, foster care or seeing the parents neglect them. That
mhm,
that's I guess the most difficult for me to digest, and it's
yeah,
hard for me because I take a lot of it home,
yeah,
because I ultimately care about these kids like they're my own, and I want
mhm,
what's best for them. And when I don't see, what they deserve, it's definitely heartbreaking. So
yeah.
I definitely struggle with that aspect.
Yeah, and it's hard to just turn it off. It's hard to just turn it
Absolutely.
off. Yeah, you just because the kids, you know that you're going home and you're safe and you're fed and you're well and all of those things, but you know that
Correct.
sometimes they're not.
And
That's
that's
hard.
the hard part with this
Yeah.
job is finding that work-life harmony, I try to say, because I'm trying to harmonize my work with my life at home. But
Mhm.
I do notice a lot of this, my work, because I'm so passionate, I want the students to get what they deserve, is I am working a lot at home and just working around the clock because we're not pushing paper. I like to say we're working with human beings here,
Mhm.
and they deserve everything, right? They deserve the
Yeah.
world, and I'm trying to give
Yeah.
them that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a balance. It's a balancing act. I'll tell you the thing that helps me the most is prayer. We're
Yeah,
lighthouse therapy because I used to always pray, and I still do. Lord, let me be a light in this dark world to the students that I
absolutely.
serve. Yeah.
And I love that because I always try to preach too. I want them to see Jesus in me. And so
Mhm.
whatever that may looks like, if that's giving you a hug, if that's going down to your level, having a conversation, working through something that happened at school or at home, I want them to always know my door is open for you and I'm
Yeah.
always here for you. And if I can, shine a little bit of what Jesus has instilled in, the Bible, then I'm happy to do that.
Awesome. Love that so much. Really do. Really do. Yeah. And I love the fact that you can say that and it's okay. You know, not everybody believes like you and I believe, but that's okay. You know, it's like you can love kids from
100.
any perspective and still be, you know, as an educator and give them that. Give them that knowing that you're doing the best that you can for them. So,
Yes, and I try to model that on my campus so my staff can see what love could look like because it's hard to teach that aspect, right,
mhm,
to an employee, the love, the caring aspect. I can teach instruction. The
mhm,
caring and love is a little bit more difficult. So I always model that with them. I will always give them feedback on how we can do better on that. Every IEP that we end, you'll always hear me saying to the parent, "Thank you for letting us love on your child."
yeah,
I want them to
great.
know that when they leave that bus or that home to get into my campus, that they're going to be well loved just as much as you would love them at your house. Um,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
always tell them all of that.
So what do you consider some of your biggest wins?
Some of my biggest wins, I would say, is that my staff feel that I'm approachable, that my students feel that I'm approachable, that I have
Mhm,
relationships with everyone on my campus, whether that's the maintenance staff, the lunch lady, the instructional assistants, my related service providers, or my teachers, or my students. I feel like that's my biggest win because I want them to have a voice and I want them to feel like if there is a problem, I want you to come to me because I want to dive through that together, troubleshoot it, let's fix it, let's correct it. So I'd say that's the biggest win is I have relationships with everyone on campus and I hope they feel safe coming to me.
awesome, awesome. So you're the one that's in charge of all of the programs, correct?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
So how does that work for you?
So it can become overwhelming at times, right? Because I want to ensure that not only the students have what they need, but I want to make sure that the teachers have what they need. If there's barriers to those tasks that they need done, I would like to remove those.
Mhm,
Um, so it gets challenging. I think the biggest thing is knowing what to prioritize. And you get that with experience on the job. Obviously, if it's a student focused or is a student need, that takes priority over everything.
mhm,
Students' well-being. So I always look to that. But I'm always looking to build my staff capacity as well. So I'm always looking at the task that's at hand and seeing, is that something that I should be doing or is that something that my staff can do? Because I want them to build capacity so then we're a greater team for our students.
Yeah, you can't be the only one doing the work, and you will absolutely burn yourself out if you do. Yeah.
And I used to do that because this is my 8th year, so I have learned from
Mhm.
my own mistakes. The first couple of years, I would try to do everything for everybody, right? And then I'm realizing
Mhm.
like, "Oh my goodness, I got my hand in all these different pots, and I'm not building my staff's, capacity, and then I'm just kind of doing."
Mhm.
But I've noticed with that shift, asking them questions, being more curious, guiding them to that answer, and then working to that solution together, we have definitely, created more, efficient programs for our students.
Right, yeah, and more bandwidth for you, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Good, awesome. So, what do you think are some of your best, um what would you say to somebody maybe hasn't been in an administrative position and is looking into it? What kind of advice would you give to them going into it, and how to be as efficient and effective as possible?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm currently doing that right now. We did hire kind of like a vice principal for me. We're administrator that I'm coaching, and so I really dived into this with really starting to build with relationships first.
Hmm.
Relationships will get you far in any position that you're in. So
Yeah.
really diving in there, knowing the people, knowing your audience, seeing what the needs are. I'm big at every time I go into a classroom before I leave or when I enter, I ask, "Hey, is everything going okay? Is there anything that you need from me?" You will
Hmm.
always hear that because if there's a barrier there from supporting students, I need to remove that barrier because our focus should be on those students. So it's really building those relationships. She's been doing a lot of modeling with me. We've been going through IEPs together, and then I've been kind of shadowing her. But a lot of brainstorming opportunities. We meet every Monday for about 2 hours, kind of dive through her cases. And I'm trying to build her capacity too, right? And so that's me not giving her all the answers all the time,
Hmm.
but now starting to ask those probing questions to hopefully get her to the end result that we're going to get to together.
Awesome, awesome. So, how many staff members do you have, and how many kids are you guys serving?
Ooh, that's a great question. So within San Joaquin County Office of Ed, I believe we serve 1,000 plus students. But
Nice.
on my campus, we have 10 classrooms with roughly 8 to 10 students in there. So it fluctuates. And then I also oversee our young adult programs. I have one in our Lincoln area, two in Manteca, and then one in our Tracy area. So I am driving all the time as well.
Wow.
So roughly about 14 classrooms. I would say student wise, we're probably sitting at, I would say about roughly 100-ish. And then staff, I'm probably overseeing about 50-ish staff as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So, what kinds of do you I'm sure you guys do professional development. What kinds of
Yeah.
things do you guys do? And how do you choose? How do you choose as a director and as a principal? How do you choose what you're doing and what professional development is it do you go to your staff? Do you have initiatives? How do you manage that?
Great question. So we typically do surveys to our staff,
Mhm.
and we have one of our administrators. Her name is Haley Music. She handles our professional development for SJCOE, but she does surveys for our staff, seeing what they really need more support in. If there's different areas for training, such as IEPs, or maybe it's behavior management or classroom management. So we do a lot of surveys of the staff. But this year also we're doing professional leadership training. We're trying to
Mm.
build capacity with all of our teachers, talking about how to have courageous conversations with your instructional assistant, how to, if there's a problem, this is how we practice active listening. This is the steps we would take. So we're really pushing our teachers this year to be more leaders in their classroom, because again, that's building their capacity to help our programs run more efficient.
Yeah. So you said your program at Redwood covers what districts around can't handle. Is that what? So like you said, social emotional is a piece of it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Your ED kids, your emotionally disturbed kids.
Yes,
Those
ma'am.
I don't know that term might be out of date, but um, and then also like, do you have like more severe
Yeah,
students, like the high
absolutely.
physical needs? Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about what that looks like.
Absolutely. So Redwood campus, it's really built, it's a behavior change campus. So
Okay.
those five Believe programs are for students with emotional disability, and it's our Counseling Enrich program. So we offer therapy weekly for our students via our mental health clinician, as well
Hmm.
as we have our school psychologist that pushes in and does social skills groups. And then we have five extensive support needs behavior change classrooms as well. So we have one fourth through eighth grade ESN class, and then I have four high school / young adult classrooms, and we serve students all the way to 22 years old on this campus.
Wow.
Yeah, and so typically students that come to my program have been unsuccessful on a general education site or a district special ed site because their behavior is needing more support that our campus can provide.
One thing I often hear from school leaders is, I just want a partner who puts students first. At Lighthouse Therapy, that's exactly what we do. We don't have outside investors and we don't answer to shareholders. Instead, we answer to school leaders like you, those listening to this podcast. Whether you're wanting virtual, hybrid, or in-person therapy, our systems are designed to make your life easier and your team stronger. We are a therapy company run by therapists for the betterment of students. Visit lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together to learn how we can help you support your students this year. Right, right. So
Well, so
you
that's
have the kids that have really been
the most
not
impact.
successful. Yeah.
Absolutely. The most impacted students, and that's why love always comes first here,
Mm-hmm.
because I also am mindful of these students that they have been bounced from one program to another program. And this may not be their second program. This may be their third or fourth program they're trying, right, on the continuum of
Yeah.
education.
Yeah.
So I'm very mindful of that. And that's why we love here first, and everything else follows.
And it's critical for those kids because
Absolutely.
they don't feel that love. I'm sure, and that's part of the reason I think too. You know, the emotional issues that some of these kids have is just, I mean, they just don't feel like anybody cares about them. So the fact that you do and you show them, and those are
Absolutely.
hard kids. Those are
Absolutely.
hard kids.
And I can give an example of a prime example or what just happened this morning. There was an incident with one of our students in the Believe program, students with emotional disabilities. She picked up an object and was kind of running through the campus. Staff did ask for support, but I have great relationships with all my students. And before we do any de-escalation techniques, I
Hmm.
want to that student first.
Yeah.
Um, Able to talk to that student, sit on the floor with her, addressed her needs. She definitely de-escalated with me. I was able to give her a glass of water, some snacks, meet her basic need, get her back into class. But that is what I'm talking about, because if there was no relationship established there,
Hmm.
she could have placed, in a hold by my staff, or someone like herself or some of my staff could have got injured.
Right.
So that's why it's so important to provide these students love and a place of caring, that they know they can feel trusted, that they know they're going to feel heard, and it helps
Mhm.
de-escalate the whole situation.
Well, and I think that you hit the nail on the head there too when you said trust. You know,
Absolutely.
that's these kids, they don't have anybody that they can trust. And so
No,
when they are bounced around, and even if they make a connection and then they do something that gets them kicked out of that program,
absolutely.
they don't trust that they can even be successful there. So coming to you, they already have failures left and right.
Yeah.
And yeah.
They
So,
come with a stigma, and our job is to rip that stigma up and build them
yeah,
up. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I was talking to somebody else last week, and we were talking about, I think it was we were talking about after high school and getting kids, into work programs and such. And we were talking about how the student or the young adult at that point, um, are working in the community, and how they serve in the community, and these employers are seeing them, and then somebody from the community comes in and they're more patient with them,
Absolutely.
and they're loving on them, and they're excited,
Absolutely.
and it's a beautiful thing, because you're just back and forth, and it's that, but they're seeing the person, They're not seeing the disability, right? They're not
Absolutely.
seeing just the behavior. They're seeing somebody
Right.
who is working, who is doing something. And I think that's real similar to what you're talking about too.
Absolutely, and I'll be honest, I preach that all the time as well on my campus, is we wanna educate the community.
Mhm,
So even if our students are unable to secure a job, I do a lot of community-based instructions with my students, getting them just to order a meal at McDonald's
mhm,
or just transitioning from one, department store to another department store. Because at the end of the day, our families need that support at home too, and we're working through their behavior, and sometimes, yeah, behavior doesn't look pretty, but we
mhm,
also have to educate the community on these are people with needs and they
mhm,
have every right to be in the same department store that you do or eating the same meal as you do. And yes, maybe they may make a noise, they may throw an item, right? But they still
mhm,
have every right to be in that same place. And
mhm.
so I preach that all the time with my staff. Let's get our kids out. Let's get the community to love on them as well. Let's educate them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you guys are doing some great stuff, it sounds like. I love that so much. So, do kids graduate then from do you go to 12th grade?
Yeah, great question. So we serve on this campus all the way from kinder all the way to 22 years old.
Okay.
Since
Oh, I
we
think you
are
said that.
Yeah, since we are the county of education, we only serve to 22 years old, and then we work closely with Valley Mountain Regional Center, and then we try to make sure that their young adult program after they leave us is sufficient to meet their needs.
Are they certificate holders when they're done, or do some of them actually get a graduation, a degree,
Our
a high school diploma,
The
I
lead
mean?
students within our emotional disability program, we push for those diploma pieces,
Mhm.
um, and so we're successful with that about probably 50% of the
Yeah.
time. For our ESN students, we haven't had much luck. I know
Mhm.
they rolled out the alternative pathway, so we're working with our
Oh,
districts
that's
on
right.
that,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
fingers crossed our students will be able to benefit from that in the future. But right now, in the moment, they are receiving certificate of completion.
That's awesome, though. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and
absolutely.
it's different. I mean, I would say I'm more curious than I'm not certainly not asking that to pass judgment. So please don't
No,
hear that
no,
from me. I just am curious about your program because it
absolutely.
just sounds amazing. Like the kids are getting
Absolutely.
service and getting some people that they can trust, and that's this
Yes.
is so great, so
And then
great.
also for our ESN students, we have a vocational lab on campus. It's titled The Den, because our mascot is the Bears here at Redwood.
Oh,
And so within the den, there's pre-vocational and vocational tasks for them to do. It's also set up as a grocery stores for students to place go back items on the shelves or pretend to go shopping. So for some students that are not successful out in the community, we brought the community to them. So we
mhm.
want to make sure that they have the same opportunities that everybody else has.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. So you mentioned the alternative program. Do you have? I've touched on it. I've seen it a little bit for graduation. Is
Yeah.
that specifically California, or is that a nationwide thing?
I believe it's a nationwide
Yeah.
thing, and I know California has put the guidance out to districts, and so we're
Hmm.
just kinda waiting for our districts to put out the guidance to our county office, and then we'll follow their districts. The hard part with County Office of Ed is we serve all the surrounding districts,
Hmm.
so we have to work with multiple, right, to make sure it aligns with our students and vice
Right.
versa. So,
Yeah.
it will probably be a little bit of time until that is all secured.
Yeah. But it's good. It's positive change. It's a step
Absolutely.
forward. It's a way for these kids to have a diploma so that they can go secondary. You know.
Absolutely, that's the goal.
Yeah. And not every child is gonna go to college, we know that, but
Sure.
to be able to but there are barriers if they get that certificate and they don't get a diploma, there is a barrier there.
Absolutely, we agree.
So, yeah.
We want to remove those barriers if we can.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
You're doing all these amazing things, and then after they leave, they have that barrier because they got a certificate versus we don't want that for them. I don't want that.
Correct.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely, and it's always I'll be honest, it's always hard for me to let my kids go, and I call them my kids even though they're young adults, because we love on them so much, I build those relationships. I'm always asking for families, if you need anything after, we don't stop at 22. I know it
Yeah,
says we do, but we really don't. I'm
yeah.
here as if they need me. I still have some of my families where I used to teach. They still reach out to me. If I can
Mhm.
still provide that support, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm here to service the community in any way possible.
Wow. I want to come and see you.
Oh my God.
It's definitely, you're definitely like preaching to the choir here, because that is just exactly, I've been a speech pathologist for 30. I'm in my 31st year, and those are the kids that just, they grab your heart, and you
Yes.
just,
Yes.
yeah, you just want them so much
Forever.
to be, yeah, and you want them to be successful. And boy,
Absolutely.
it is a beautiful thing when they are successful, and when they do learn to trust, and they do learn to walk on their own in a society that doesn't always think that they even can.
Correct. And we celebrate even the smallest of wins here,
Mhm.
because some of our students, right, it may be a small win, but that's great. Progress is progress.
Mhm.
And we take baby steps and we celebrate every win here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Enrique, where do people go if they want to learn a little bit more, or have some questions maybe for how you do what you do?
Yeah, so if you want to learn a little bit more, I would say there's some from informational videos on our website. So if you go to
Okay.
San Joaquin County Office of Education, there is a lot a department section. We have some videos too describing what we do and some of the students that we serve. I would also say, if they're interested, coming to shadow, just coming to visit the campus.
Mhm.
I've had several teachers or even people trying to get in the education field shadow me for a day or shadow my teachers. I'm happy
Mhm.
to connect them with the right people, but I'm also happy for them to just see the ins and outs and all the great work we're doing. So I think the biggest impact would probably be to see the great things we're doing on campus. So I would say get in touch with me. I can provide my contact information. Let's connect and let's get you to the right field.
Yeah, absolutely. So is your information on the website? It probably is, isn't it?
Yes,
Can it be
ma'am.
found?
It's
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So they can find you on the website.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
for those of you that are looking, Enrique is Enrique, and Lopez is with a Z, Lopez. So just so that it's
Absolutely.
on the screen if you're watching, but if you're listening, I always want to make sure that people have what they need. So Enrique, if you could fix one thing miraculous. You and I are Christians, so we
Yeah,
believe in the power of God. But
absolutely.
if you could, and it can't be money, we know everybody needs more money, but if you could just miraculously fix one thing in your sphere, in your job, what would that one thing be?
I would say making sure that all students they're at the same playing field.
Mm, I've heard that
Where
before. It's
that
a great question. Great answer. Yeah.
because I unfortunately, we discussed, I don't see that, and I feel like a
Hmm.
lot of students are, they were dealt the wrong cards in life, and that's
Hmm.
not their fault, right? And
Hmm.
sometimes not even the family's fault. To just be on the same playing field, to have the same loving environment that they go home to on a daily basis, that they're
Yeah.
supported, then
Yeah.
their basic needs are met. That's what
Yeah.
I
Great
would wish.
answer. Great answer. I knew you probably where you were going to go with that, but I wanted to answer. I wanted to ask you anyway. So thank you.
Absolutely.
It's so true. We just, and you're doing that. I mean, you're
Oh, me too.
giving them that. So, I mean, I know you can't control what happens at home, but knowing that they have a safe place, and that was something during the pandemic that broke my heart, because,
Oh my,
that safe place was ripped out from underneath these kids.
yeah.
And, school for a lot of kids is the safe place. And
Absolutely. It's where they
yeah.
get their meals, it's where they get their love, it's where they get their education. So
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
We need to keep our schools open.
Yeah. 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 Glad that's past us now,
Oh,
right?
yes. Thank goodness.
Yeah. All right. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. We definitely are brighter together, right?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.